Hello, my name is Codemaster Jamal, and today I'm going to be revealing my desktop with everyone. The point of this video is to reveal my desktop and show you guys some of my Unity projects, as well as what I'm going to do next when it comes to developing my game. As you guys know, I was actually going to get into batch editing, or should I say GPU instancing or batching instead, which is the proper term. But I realized that I want to put out a prototype for my game as soon as possible. And in order to create a prototype for my game, I have to actually finish my website, because the website and the game go hand in hand, which is also why I want to reveal my desktop to you, so I can just show you guys some of my plans and show you guys I have a few things planned out. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Okay, so this is my desktop. I have my programs to the side here, and I usually keep this list here of things that I want to do throughout the week or throughout the year, just in case I don't forget them. This is actually a full list of tutorials that I've covered, or at least I've learned on YouTube and other places and stuff like that. Before I actually started designing my game, I actually took the time to figure out what tutorials I actually needed to learn in order to figure out how to make my game. And the fortunate thing about YouTube is that there's a lot of tutorials available for people who want to make games. So I took my time to actually really pinpoint exactly what tutorials I needed to follow, and this is basically what I came up with. For the most part, I think I have at least 4, maybe 5 tutorials left. I have 2 tutorials for 3D modeling. I have 1 tutorial about learning how to make a Pokemon game. If there's anything I'm going to take from Pokemon, it's basically the way how Pokemon stores all their information within an array. I would also like to include that aside from sticky notes, I also have a small notebook where I keep a lot of notes and a list of things that I need to do, as well as daily objectives that I need to take care of. Well, actually, let's take a look at a few of the programs I have on here. I use Shotcut to create videos. I use OBS Studio. I used to use Streamlab OBS, place of OBS Studio, because they just meet my demands a little bit better. We have Ableton Live. I used to use LMMS, and truth be told, it's the reason why I'm running out of space on my computer is because this thing takes up like 5 gigs versus LMMS, which is probably 200 to 300 megabytes at most. It's very good software. It's very useful. I'm taking complete advantage of it. And I'm only going to show you guys the programs that I use to actually make games. I have Krita, which is an art program. I also have Paint.net. I was never really a big fan of GIMP. I've seen it. I've had friends that have used it. They've gotten graphic design jobs from being a pro at it. I've just never been a big fan of GIMP. I used to have Photoshop. It was a cracked version, but I was like 14 years old. I didn't even know that it was actually an illegal version until someone told me about it, or at least until my dad had to take the computer in for repairs. I have Audacity, which I use to record a lot of things. I also have the Unity Hub and Blender, as well as my NetBeans IDE, which I use to develop. I use this to develop Java and web applications. If you also notice, I have 1, 2, 3 internet browsers. Like I said, I do a lot of web applications, so I actually test my web applications in all 3 browsers. I should be testing them in Opera and a few other browsers, but for the most part, I just use Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Firefox to do everything. Most people use one of those 3, so I figure that covers the majority of people. So basically, as you guys can see, Google Chrome is actually my favorite internet browser, which is what I'm going to show you guys today. I have a website. It's at mw-industries.com. Anyone can access it. Currently, this is what my website looks like, or at least the one that's online. I built this pretty much from the ground up, completely scratch code from inside of NetBeans. It's built with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and SQL. Very old school programming. A lot of new school people wouldn't be designing websites the way how I am right now, but I found that this is the way how I like to design websites. This is basically my company and what I'm going to be doing with it. This is the homepage. At the bottom, you find some more links. I also use a CSS library called W3 CSS. It's from W3 Schools, and I'm using Font Awesome. I forgot the name of the library, and then it shows the copyright. Have my social media links and stuff like that. Actually, let's get into this here. This first page here is actually the about page. I revamped this page. The wording is a lot better and it tells a better story, but it gives you just a rough draft of what I usually tell people in the middle of Uber rides about my life story. It's just a simple about page. I haven't filled out everything just yet, but I'm getting close to it. Hence why I want to update my website and start working on my site in general. This is the frequently asked questions, and as you guys can see, I don't have any frequently asked questions. It has this nice little hover effect worked on the image there. These are photos I've taken of Miami, my city, just around places and stuff like that. And then finally, it's the contact form, which I have it updated on. Like I said, it doesn't show anything. There isn't much to show, but this is basically the rough draft. The shopping cart here is for a shop. I was going to design a shop, but currently some links aren't entirely on the site yet. What I did have in store was this create account thing, a lot of JavaScript. I basically ended up just redesigning a lot of the site. But here is the old site here at the home. You can also get linked to the official Virtual Monsters website, which is the name of my game. I haven't officially revealed that yet. It has links to Virtual Monsters and all of its social media pages, as well as my other games that I plan on creating. If I do succeed at making games, I hope to be able to make more games. So let's see what happens. Anyhow, I'm going to show you guys the updated version of the website. So this is the updated version. If you've actually been following me on Instagram, you would know that I actually started off doing a parallax effects, which is the new update to my website. It has this nice parallax effect, and I updated the front page. This header at the top still drags, and added a second parallax effect as well. Yeah, this is my site. I still haven't uploaded this to the net. As you can see, it's on my local host. I plan on updating the main site very soon, giving it some cool updates, some cool features. You know, there's a different parallax effect on every page. I've updated the about page. It says a lot more. Put a quote of myself. I still haven't updated the frequently asked questions page. No one's really asked me any questions. I started using the Google reCAPTCHA, and now that validates forms and stuff like that. So I do have a contact form in case anyone wants to contact me via site for any number of services here. Lastly, I still don't have a shop page. The message board isn't up. Those are like kind of the last two things I need to do outside of the user system, which is the next thing I'm going to be working on now. This is the registration page, so it has that nice parallax effect on every page. You would basically register an account, which is also why I wanted to do my website first, because of the way how my game is going to be written. Basic idea is that you make an account for free, and then you have to purchase the game in order to download it. Your MW Industries account can be used to view data on other players, as well as be used to issue in-game trades with other players. The site in general is a hub for my indie games. From what I asked in the Facebook group, most people are against building a hub to release their game. I kindly would have to agree with them. However, if I was building anything other than an MMORPG or perhaps a simpler indie game, I would gladly release my game on Steam, Itch, or even GameJolt, as it would be more beneficial to my game to do so. This way I can back up save files, regulate players and items in game, as well as use the site to display a player's avatar and in-game data. Okay, so apparently I still have some bugs I need to work out. I'm gonna log in and show you guys here in incognito that you can actually log into Facebook, which is why I need to finish my privacy policy and the site rules and stuff like that, so that way I can actually get my app approved by Facebook. And then basically you'll be able to use your Facebook login to log into my game and vice versa. So enough of that. The next thing I wanted to show you guys was my documents here. As you can see, I have my documents loaded up like this. This project file here called Learning Unity, this is actually what I've been showing you guys for the longest time when I keep referring to my game. This is actually this Unity environment, and instead it's actually this Unity environment called Virtual Monsters RPG, where I'm actually building my actual game. So I want to show you guys really quick my Unity projects before I get into NetBeans. With my Learning Unity project, basically it contains all my graphics and like what I've been building for like the past few years. Yeah, here we go. You guys can see my game world. Hopefully the GPU isn't killing OBS right now. There isn't too much strain on the GPU because of OBS Studio and Unity running at the same time. Go into scenes right here. Alright, so basically I spent time just kind of learning about how to do different projects in Unity. This one here is a transformation. One block goes that way, the other one's supposed to rotate. That was me just learning how to instance game objects within Unity. I did all these different tutorials on YouTube, and I was just learning how to work the Unity engine. With this one here, I was learning how to destroy game objects after a certain amount of time. This here is a game over screen. This one, I was learning about input. It's why it's called input X or input example, input X or something, I don't know. don't know where I was going with that name. So this is when I learned how to do controls. Then I have this here, level 1. This one here, this is when I was learning about game states. So I have one scene that says level 1 and I have another scene that says level 2. But the problem is that I don't have them currently within, because Unity kind of handles moving back and forth between scenes. So I don't have them both loaded into the project settings. And yeah, this is the one where I was doing more input and I was learning how to instance game objects. Pretty cool. Don't know why I call this one Pong, but it's like 4 or 5 squares and they all just delete out of nowhere. This is when I started getting into terrain. I ended up losing all my files back in October of last year. This is roughly before I started doing YouTube, and I had created a backup, but unfortunately it didn't restore everything within the project, which is why I'm having a hard time actually compiling. There's just some things that are missing. My idea is that I'm just going to basically take all the game objects I created in here and then move them into my other Unity environment, which you see called a Virtual Monsters RPG. Most likely just the textures and the 3D models. So everything I need from here, I'll move into here. And then anything else I'm going to delete, or I might create like an archive, save it somewhere. This is when I basically first started doing like mapping and stuff like that. As you can see, it doesn't have any textures on it. So yeah, this is when I first started learning how to do Unity, which kind of takes effect out of it. This is when it started to really feel like I was making a game. Probably isn't seeing too well because OBS Studio and Unity are using the same. You can see I kind of made this like really big ocean, and the idea was to have like different islands and stuff like that you can sail to. I made this water plane because I studied a lot of things about water graphics and making water graphics, though I have no idea why this water is a gradient. Follow the tutorial on YouTube to learn how to make a version of Flappy Birds with HTML and CSS. I didn't get much time to show you guys, but I also did a bit of Java game development, Java OpenGL. This is actually a Thin Matrix tutorial. I'm not going to go into it too much because that's his code. I wish I had more Java projects to show you, but I accidentally wiped System32 from my computer by accident. Haha, no, stupid mistake. I saved a lot of my files, but fortunately not everything was saved to my OneDrive, so a lot of my school projects and stuff like that was unfortunately lost. I really enjoyed coding with Java OpenGL. The first thing I did with it was apply one of my tree leaf textures onto a 2D plane. I also manipulated its transformation by including a random variable on the z-axis. Looking back, I realized that Java OpenGL is perhaps a better way to display computer graphics on screen. And then lastly, she's Virtual Monsters. I also forgot to mention the UNet and Dark Rift networking games that I put together when I was researching how to build an MMO as an indie developer. They were included in the Learning Unity project file because I created them as separate projects. Although I had fun figuring out what exactly makes a massive multiplayer game tick. Originally when I started this video, I wasn't going to include them, but decided to change my mind after I realized that this video would make a great portfolio. So I decided that I would showcase everything I've learned about game development in one video. Now finally, I want to show you why I actually want to stop game developing and go into web development. I think I actually have a build of this game. This here is the beginning of my game. This is the title screen. I haven't completely coded it. This here was built with Unity and C#. I basically want it so that you can go to the website and then register an account and then use that account within any game that I create. You would be able to use that for Virtual Monsters, Tales of Almadaria. I have a game called Shinobu. There's multiple games I wanted to do, so I wanted them all to have the same login system. But then here's the problem with that. The problem is that the way how passwords are hashed within C# and Unity is completely different from the way how passwords are hashed within PHP, which is what I'm using to hash my password and store them within a database. My program has to be able to read the username and passwords from my website's database in order to log people into the game, and vice versa. However, there's fortunately a C# library that can assist me with encrypting the passwords into my game properly, but for the most part, that's the hardest deal. deal. But that's also why I need to get on to making the prototype and finishing the website in general, is because if I don't finish the website, I won't be able to start the server and everything else that I need for the prototype of my game. I think I've done really well creating multiple assets and everything else that I need for the game. I think now it's the time to create the foundation for the game, and the foundation of the game starts off with my website. So without my website, I won't be able to do the actual game itself. And once you have the login and server properly done, you can take that even further and go ahead and start instancing players, which is why I need to finish my character modeling. And then after character modeling, then I can start building the map and everything else for the world. But fortunately, I already have enough assets to create a rough draft of it, or at least get building right away. That's the fortunate part, is that I have almost all the assets I need to finish making my game. In fact, when I first started to develop my game, I had a completely different idea about how I wanted it to look. At first, I was going with a 2.5D look, kind of this mix between 3D modeling and pixel art. Since I started out as purely a pixel artist, it would have been a great mix. However, I realized that this wasn't the exact look I wanted, and that my game would be more appealing if I texture painted everything. The look it has now is exactly what I wanted for my game. Visually speaking, at this point, I believe there's still some assets that I do want to build for it. I'll be making more videos on that, but for now, this is basically it. I'm getting back into web development because I started off developing things for the web. When I web develop, it's like a refresher to my memory. It's like not riding a bike for a long time and then riding a bike again and realize that you never really forget how to ride a bike. It's kind of that same thing, except that with code, it's like you have to practice it somewhat. You have to be consistent with practicing. Anything that you learn within 5 years, you have to practice it every day, otherwise you're just gonna forget it. I haven't really been doing a lot of coding. I've been doing a lot of graphic design. I'm looking forward to getting back into coding. I guess that's gonna be the end of this episode. I really appreciate you for watching. If you have the time, please subscribe. It's been nice sharing with you guys. Till next time, my name is Codemaster Jamal, and I'm signing out.